Hi, it's David Krayden here. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting the station. We could not move forward without you.
Minister LeBlanc, could you tell me, do you know what the unemployment rate is right now?
We're not actually doing interviews on a bench here.
Oh, you're just smoking a cigar while millions of Canadians suffer from wildfires and are unemployed.
No, I'm talking to some colleagues of mine.
How's the cigar?
Have a nice evening.
Could you tell me why Minister Steven Guilbeault is serving the Chinese Communist Party?
I think you spent too much time with a tinfoil hat on.
Really, because we actually have the documents to prove it, and we know that your government has given them $1.6 million. Did you buy that appointment, that communist appointment? I'm sorry to interrupt your cigar break.
You're not busy, are you, tonight, obviously?
Just speaking with you.
Yeah, it's too bad, actually.
Why is that? You're afraid Canadians would get some answers from you corrupt liberals? How much money did this whole convention cost?
It's actually not a convention, it's a meeting.
Now, this is absolutely classic here. This is Dominic LeBlanc, the new Minister of Public Safety. And he has the nerve to say to a journalistic friend of mine, Keenan Bext, that he's wearing a tinfoil hat because he's reporting that the Environment and Climate Change Minister, Steven Guilbeault, environmental extremist who used to get arrested routinely because he belonged to an eco-terrorist group called Greenpeace. Keenan Bext is reporting, as I did in the article you just saw there. Let's see this here. Yeah. Clearly, there is something wrong because, and I reported, and as a lot of people reported, Steven Guilbeault is in China right now as I speak, and he is liaising with a Chinese Communist Party Environmental Council. He is the executive vice chairman of this group, and it's a Communist Party controlled organization. Number 6 in China. He sits on the Politburo, leads this organization. He's the chairman of it. So Guilbeault is in China right now, even though we have got all of these issues with China, including Chinese election interference, but Guilbeault flies to China to meet with his Communist Party buddies. And Dominic LeBlanc is either so stupid, so ignorant, or so rude that he suggests the reporter here is wearing a tinfoil hat, even though this is reality. This is reality, and nobody's denying this. Nobody has denied that Steven Guilbeault is in China talking to a Communist Party group. He's on the website. He's on their website as the executive vice chairman. So you can see that Dominic LeBlanc is the one who has nothing but time on his hands to sit around with his those are probably his staffers, smoking cigars and no doubt having a few in Charlottetown. God knows if this was in any way financed by the taxpayer. I don't know. They weren't saying. But the point is, they're absent without leave again, as they always are. So let's have a look at another one of these clips where essentially a liberal cabinet minister gets sandbagged and really looks stupid.
I'm going to bed.
We actually just met in Calgary a while ago. Do you remember? Hi, Minister. How are you?
How are you?
We were asking about your net zero policies and how they were going to affect Alberta disproportionately, and now we've sort of figured out why, because we know that you work on a communist committee based in China, based in Beijing, and in fact you pay $1.6 million for that seat. We're wondering if you think that there's any potential conflict of interest with the fact that you think China should go offline.
Come on.
Is he there?
You think China should go? No, why would you stop me from asking a question? Come on. We can be friendly. We can be fair. This is a free country. He's not under threat. Let me just ask my
Just
question.
don't pass me.
Sure, absolutely. You can keep him safe from me. Could you tell me, do you think that there's a conflict of interest inherently in the fact that you think China should be able to go net zero far later than we're allowed to, decades in fact? Do you think that it amounts to some sort of equalization payment to China via energy payments? What? Bro, come on. We're being polite.
Yeah.
Just
Don't
because
pass
the
me.
CBC doesn't do this doesn't mean that this is a strange thing for a democracy. Minister Guilbeault, could you tell me how many Canadians right now are displaced by a wildfire? Could you tell me the amount of people? And can you tell me the amount of people who would be displaced by wildfires if you didn't have a carbon tax? I think that's a very fair question. Do you have any actual data to back up what you're doing? Or is it all just whatever the government of China tells you to do? Do you take money from the government of China yourself? How do you not see the conflict of interest that is coming out of this? Catherine McKenna had the same, but you're the only one bold enough to actually do anything with that conflict of interest. You're letting China off the hook for decades at the expense of moms and dads who can't keep their house warm because you've made food so unaffordable, rent so unaffordable, and energy so unaffordable that they are going to freeze to death this winter if they haven't been burned alive by a forest fire that you've ignored.
So there's not much more I can add to this. This is a minister in deep denial. Does he see a conflict of interest with him flying to China, with all the problems we've had with China, with China locking up Canadians, with China setting up police stations in Canada so they can actively intimidate and harass the Chinese diaspora and Chinese dissidents, or with China interfering in Canadian elections to the benefit of the Liberal Party? Does he see this as a conflict of interest? He's flying to China to meet with a Communist Party-controlled council, environmental council. I don't know if he does. I don't know if he cares. Guilbeault only cares about his environmental agenda, his radical extremist environmental agenda, and his own political power. That's the only thing Guilbeault is concerned about. And it's quite evident from here. These are obvious questions to ask. And thank God for Keenan being in Charlottetown. Nobody else was there. Nobody else who wanted to ask any questions was there to talk to these ministers after hours. So I'm glad he was there to do that. But he got no answers. And you see that jerk. I don't know if he's RCMP. I don't know if he's parliamentary security or Guilbeault's personal bodyguard trying to push the journalist out of the way. Don't ask any questions. This is the guy who used to routinely get arrested, and now he's pushing people away, threatening them. This is disgusting what Canadian democracy has come to. This man should not only resign, he should have been fired. He should not be coming back from China. He should stay there with his Marxist friends. Well, actually, they're closer to fascism than Marxists today. But this is absolutely pitiful to watch. To see this pitiful minister, this pathetic minister, has really nothing to offer Canada except to steal our money, to make life more unaffordable, to make it impossible to make ends meet, to lie about subsidies to the oil and gas industry that never existed, to lie about how it's going to be possible to achieve net zero on the electricity grid when provinces like Saskatchewan and Alberta don't have hydroelectricity. They rely on fossil fuels. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about anything beyond his little bubble. This is a bad minister. What we're trying to do every week here is bring you the news you might not see everywhere else. And we're coming against Justin Trudeau's internet censorship laws. Please subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't done so already. I know it's annoying to ask. Believe me, I'm not a salesman. I'm a writer. But I really implore you to do that because I need this station to keep going. We want to keep bringing you the news that you want to hear. And if you want a story covered, let me know, please. Because that's where I'm getting a lot of news information from your tips. So thank you for being there for me. And you can also support this station by going on my Substacks and subscribing for $8 a month. Yes, I know it's free, but I can also use your support. So please do that if you can. And I'll continue to be here every week, every day if must needs be, to tell you what's really happening in this world of ours. And I'm in nobody's pocket, but I am on your side.